friends, welcome back to Simply Home and Harvest. I'm Jen. Today we're going to be in the kitchen making one of my favorite desserts, and that is carrot cake, especially for the springtime and for Easter. I think carrot cake just goes perfect with Easter. It happens to also be one of my dad's favorite desserts, and his birthday is right at Easter. So I think that's why I associate carrot cake with Easter. But we're going to use the Cake Mix Doctor Cookbook. This is one of my favorite cookbooks. The pages are falling out. I've used it so much. But it's where you take a boxed cake mix, you doctor it up, and you make it into a dessert that tastes like it's made from scratch, even though your starting point is a cake mix. So we're going to do that today. I'm also going to review a knife set from BRODARK. And so we've got a couple things we want to take care of first, and then we'll get on to that recipe. So the people at BRODARK reached out to me and asked me if I would review this knife set for them. It's a 6-piece knife set. So we're going to use a few of the knives today. We actually tried them out this weekend while Tim was cooking breakfast, but we were really rushed because it was a Sunday morning and we needed to hurry up and get breakfast fixed and get to church. So we didn't have a lot of time to prepare breakfast, but I promise you, probably in the next week or two, we're going to do a breakfast with Tim, because I know during the live that y'all said you wanted to see Tim cook breakfast, so I'm going to give that to you, and y'all know that he cooks eggs way better than I do. So we're going to do that coming up. But we did try the knife set out, and I'm going to show you how that went and our thoughts on the BRODARK 6-piece knife set. When the people at BRODARK reached out to me to review a knife set for them, I was thrilled because I was really needing to purchase some new knives. I have an old Cutco set that was actually gifted to us probably 20 years ago. And, you know, we have used it a lot, so there was some wear and tear on it. So I was excited to try this set. You'll see that it comes with a chef knife, a bread knife, a slicing knife, a utility knife, a santoku knife, and a paring knife. I loved how it was packaged, and the handles on it, those wood grain handles, are just absolutely beautiful. So today we are actually going to try out the santoku knife, the paring knife, and the slicing knife. Now, the bread knife I know is going to come in handy because you all know that I make my homemade bread a lot. But first, Tim has been trying out the santoku knife. Now, he's tried it several times, and this is his favorite knife of all of them, I think. And he was just telling me how well it just slices through, and he really just liked the handle, said it was really easy to handle, really easy to control also. So definitely a thumbs up on the santoku knife. And then I used the paring knife and also the slicing knife to cut up some fruit. On the weekend mornings, Tim cooks for us. Like I said, I will be bringing you a video specifically on our breakfast with Tim, but we like to have a breakfast scramble, I think is what we were having this morning. So he was cutting up some potatoes, and then we also like to have some fruit with whatever breakfast we have. Today I'm going to be using a pear, and I cut up some strawberries. We had some blueberries, some grapes, just a nice little fruit bowl to go with our breakfast. But you'll see that the paring knife worked really well, definitely did the job, and the slicing knife was just so easy to use. So definitely try this knife set out if you're looking for a 6-piece set. This one is very affordable. It runs around $60. I will link all that information in the description box below. Thank you, my friends at BRODARK, for letting me review this item, and hopefully you will give their product a try. And now for the second part of this video, we are going to make a carrot cake together. I got these pretty flowers here. I thought you might enjoy seeing those today. They're actually from Ella's senior photo shoot from last weekend, and they still look pretty good. So I thought I would include them. All right, well, our first step in making our cake, let's see. All right, so what I'm gonna do, and y'all know I like to do this, is I'm going to use this recipe in the Cake Doctor. The Cake Mix Doctor Returns is actually the name of this cookbook. I will link it down below if you're interested in it. But I'm actually going to take the recipe for the carrot and raisin spice cake, and I'm going to change it up a bit It actually recommends doing a cream cheese frosting, but I found another frosting in here that I think I want to try that I would like better, and it is a cinnamon cream cheese frosting. So we are going to take this cake mix or carrot cake recipe and alter it a bit. This is a carrot and raisin spice cake. We're not going to put raisins in our cake. I took a little survey, and the family decided no raisins in the cake. So we're gonna omit that part. So first thing I wanna do is decide, do I want to make a layered cake or a sheet cake? I think for today, I'm just going to do the 13 by 9 sheet cake. That's a little bit easier than the layered cake. Plus, if I were doing this for Easter, or if I was gonna take this somewhere, I would do the 2-layered cake or a 3-layered cake, just because I think that would be prettier, especially on a table, like an Easter tablescape. But I also like the idea of the sheet cake because you can cut that a little bit easier and it could potentially serve more. So I think I'm gonna do the sheet cake just for today because I just washed my 13 by 9 casserole dish, so it's already sitting there waiting for me. So that'll be our first step. We're gonna go ahead and get our pan prepared. I'm gonna preheat my oven to 350 degrees, and then we are going to shred some carrots in the food processor and put this cake together. First thing we need to do is prepare our 13 by 9 baking dish. I'm just going to grease that and lightly flour it a bit. This will just help prevent that cake from sticking to the bottom. It just so happened that I had some leftover carrots in the fridge that needed to be used. Now, I didn't know exactly how many I had, but our recipe calls for 2 cups of shredded carrots. And guess what, y'all? Exactly 2 cups is what we got out of these shredded carrots. So I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use our Duncan Hines Spice Cake Mix. I happen to have this in my food storage downstairs, but you could use any type of boxed spice cake mix. We're just gonna dump that into our bowl. And I'm gonna use my stand mixer to mix everything, but you could use a hand mixer, or you could just mix by hand with a wooden spoon. That will work as well. And then to that, we're going to add 3/4 cup of, I'm using vegetable oil. And I had a little bit of our homemade applesauce in the bottom of this jar. So I added some of the other applesauce that I had to this, and we're hoping that this is about 1/2 cup. And it said of sweetened applesauce, but you know, I'm sure if you had unsweetened, that would work as well. All right, and then we're also gonna add 4 eggs. Now I'm trying to get better. These are our farm fresh eggs. I'm trying to get better at cracking them into a bowl first. That just helps to keep the shells out. And if you have a yolk that you don't want in there, you won't ruin your cake. So I'm trying to get better at that. Crack it in the bowl. I did learn that in home ec, and then sometimes I get in a hurry and I skip that part. So we're gonna add 4 eggs. The shells on our fresh eggs are so much harder than the store-bought shells that sometimes I feel like I have to work really hard to crack these eggs. We're gonna go ahead and get everything mixed together really well for about 30 seconds. Just gonna stop it for a second, make sure I scrape the sides down, and then we're gonna let it go for another about minute, 30 seconds on a medium speed, just until that's mixed together really well. Right, now that we've got our cake mix mixed there, we're gonna add our 2 cups of shredded carrots. And we're just gonna fold those into the batter. The spices in this cake smell so good, especially with that applesauce, which if you remember, if you watched that video, I did add some cinnamon to my homemade applesauce. So you definitely can smell the cinnamon in this cake mix. All right, we got all that incorporated. So you could add your raisins at this point if you wanted to, or you could even add nuts to your cake. But our carrot cake, you could also add coconut. Our carrot cake is just going to have the carrots as the add in there. You know, even like shredded apples would probably be good. That's a thought. We're gonna go ahead and get this into our preheated 350-degree oven. We're going to bake it for 35 to 40 minutes, and we'll just check it and make sure it's done at that point. Now we need to prepare our cinnamon cream cheese icing for our cake. First, you're gonna need 1 stick of softened butter and 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. And then I'm gonna add to this 1 teaspoon of our homemade vanilla. And then we're just going to mix that together until it's blended well. As always, I'll have the full recipe to this cake linked for you in the description box below. Now after that's blended, you want to add in your powdered sugar. Now I'm adding 3 cups of powdered sugar that I did go ahead and sift beforehand. I think that helps it to blend and you don't get those chunks and lumps in your icing. And then we're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and just get that all mixed together until you have a nice smooth icing. If it's too thick, you can also add maybe like a teaspoon of water, and that will help thin it out and make it a little easier to spread on your cake. Once your cake has cooled, then you just spread your icing on top. And I, of course, since I made this in the casserole dish, I'm not going to remove it. I'm just going to leave it in this dish. So I didn't need quite as much icing. I did have a little bit left over since we didn't do the sides, but I think that this is a perfect amount, especially if you are going to ice a layered cake or even a sheet cake and you need to do the sides as well. Well, good morning. It's actually the next morning, and I am sitting down with my cup of coffee and piece of carrot cake. This cake is delicious. It's not too sweet, and I think the icing on top is a really just a nice touch to it, especially with that cinnamon. But Alex said that it kind of, the cake part kind of reminded him of a pumpkin flavored dessert, or pumpkin pancakes actually is what he said. So I don't know, something about the spice in with the carrots and that spice cake mix, I really like it. I really like it a lot. So make sure you try this for your upcoming spring events, or just because. Who needs an event to have cake? Have cake just because. You can have cake any day. You don't need a special occasion to have cake. And this is one that you won't feel as guilty about because it has vegetables inside. So that's a bonus. All right. Well, I am going to get my day started. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each one of you so very much. Welcome to all my new subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to have you join us. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share this with your friends. So until next time, remember to live simply, use what you have, and enjoy the moments you've been given. And I will see you in the next one.